Hi, I'm Whack.
And I'm Pat, and we're back with another episode of the Weekly Orbit. This week ending, well, when you see this, will be Friday, December 22nd, where we try to record a week's worth of rocket pool news in about 20 to 30 minutes. And Whack, we're on a new schedule this week. We want to put out episodes every Friday morning, so we're recording on Thursday, December 21st.
Yep.
And I see you've got some new headphones. You're officially now a podcaster.
Yep, that's it. I've leveled up. It was like my evolution, Pokemon evolution, and now I'm a podcaster. So I have a new camera setup, lighting setup, headphone setup. Like the one thing left is audio mic. So I need a new mic stand and a new microphone, and maybe a new microphone. But I'm going to see if I can get more out of the one that I have at the moment. And it's I'm leveling up.
Yeah, those Bose.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice. I used to have a pair. My ex-girlfriend still has them. She never gave them back.
Oh no. Yeah. Maybe you can get them back one day, hopefully.
Yeah, well, probably not, but it's good to see you. You're stepping up in the world, but you got the cool orange mic cover. That's much more than I have.
Yeah, that was made by Evan, which was so nice of him to send me. So it's really cool.
Yeah. So this week we're going to cover some stats, and then we're going to kind of just focus our time on the rapid response, rapid research, I should say, not rapid response. That's at hospitals. So we're going to get into the deposit pool first. It's been a slow week. Let's go down to our daily deposits. As you see, well, let's refresh this, just make sure we got the most up-to-date data. But after last week, we had, we had a really good week last week. But this week we've got, on December 18th, we had 3,318 ETH deposit. It was a pretty good day. But then the 19th, 20th, we had 43 ETH and 24 ETH respectively. And today we've got about 208 ETH. Is this could it be because the high gas prices that is keeping some folks on the sidelines for the time being?
Exactly, yeah. So gas prices have been really high. We've been above the ultrasound barrier for 9 days in a row now, with gas spiking up to 100 gwei, up to 200 gwei at times. But average is above 50 gwei, and spinning up a validator at those prices is actually quite expensive. It can take a month or many months of rewards to pay that back. So people are just waiting for gas prices to come down. And if people aren't spinning up validators or burning their rETH in the deposit pool, which there's no need to do because there's a premium on the secondary market, then there's never any space in the pool to mint new rETH. So, you can see that there's only been a handful of new validators coming online in the last few days. And because of that, we just haven't had the minting of new rETH. But overall, the trend has generally been up these last couple of weeks overall. But the actual amount of rETH proper has slowly been trending up. I plateaued for a while there, but now it's slowly going up. And I just hope that, we can start. This is the beginning of some new momentum going into 2024, because I think 2024 is going to bring some really cool things.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So the last 3 weeks, the week ending December 3rd, we had 18,445. The week ending December 10th, 7,000. In the weeks of the 17th, we had 5,160. So those definitely trending on the up. So
and there's still a few days left for this week yet. So if we get another good day, with gas low at the weekend, potentially we might get some rETH minting happening.
Sure. Okay, so this week, I think yesterday, we had the smoothing pool payout, and it was the fourth highest smoothing pool payout in nominal terms since it started. So it was 481 ETH, which was pretty good. The all-time record was in August, and that was at 500. That was at 619 ETH. Okay, so fourth highest. It's pretty good. With gas volatility, you get some MEV, and that means more smoothing pool rewards.
Absolutely. The thing to remember as well, like you said, is nominal terms. So the number of validators that are in the smoothing pool now is, I think, at an all-time high. So even though the absolute terms is higher, the per validator share is not as high. It's been as some of the earlier months where it was really good back then.
Yeah,
There've been a few good months in terms, like, overall it's kind of average, but it's nice. We got close to 500 ETH, which is over $1 million. So that was a
yeah.
nice amount of ETH in there.
I always love it. It's just like the little every 28 days you get a little extra of just pure ETH put into
Hmm.
your node. So
One of the
that's
things that I'm
great.
one of the things that I'm doing though is I'm actually leaving the smoothing pool probably today. So it might be
Oh,
yeah, because the rewards period started last night. So
right.
I'll probably leave the smoothing pool this weekend most likely because I'm gonna YOLO it for the coming bull market and seeing
You're
if
gonna
I get
try to win
any
your lottery ticket.
maybe like it's worth giving it a shot. I think so. Let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
well, you never know. But I'll be collecting my rewards every month, and you may go months without a proposal.
Yep, it's true. People have literally gone. I think someone I saw the other day went 300 days without a proposal. So that's horrible.
Yeah, I think I had
Yeah.
something similar on one of mine, where it was totally unlucky, right?
Hmm.
But then you might get two proposals within a week. It's just so random, right?
Yep.
So you never know. Okay, so let's move on to the rapid research incubator. Why don't we start off first? What is this? It's a bounty, and we're looking to get ideas from the community on how to rework Rocket Pool so that we can be competitive. It's a really competitive landscape with uh, liquid staking providers. Lido in particular has got it's called the CSM, which they plan to roll out in about a year in quarter 4, and I mean it looks like it's going to be a pretty good product in terms of
Mm.
capturing new node operators. And I think that was the catalyst to really get everyone focused on, okay, we got to make the protocol more efficient, more capital efficient. We got to figure out perhaps a new value capture for RPL. And how do we attract folks who just want to do ETH only mini pools? I think
Hmm.
those are the three things that this incubator is trying to figure out.
Hmm.
So we've got a few good proposals so far. When does this end? The period for submitting proposals, WAC.
On January 2nd.
Okay, so if you're out there and you got some idea, you can get paid for this. I think it's what. Forgive me if I got the numbers wrong, WAC, but it's like $250 for a submission, and then it goes up to like 1,000. I don't know what are the numbers.
Yeah, there's 12 prizes of $250, and then we have three prizes of $1,000, one prize of $1,500, and one prize of $2,500. So those are for the people who like really submit great ideas. But I think don't tell anyone this, but I heard from someone in the GMC who people have been talking about, like maybe giving more money to every good faith submission,
Mhm.
just as a gesture of goodwill. And that is very, like, don't tell anyone I told you that kind of stuff. But there's this idea that like, people are, if they put work in and they're doing it like legitimately, then we should reward that. And but for the people who go above and beyond, then there's more. And also there's a promise of, if your ideas end up being one of the main ones and you're a driving force behind making that happen with all the math and data and everything that comes with it, then you might be eligible for even more on top. So there's lots and lots of carrots that are dangling, and it's just a matter of people in the community to take those carrots, and we hope that they take us up on the opportunity. And thankfully we've had submissions trickling in. It took a few days to get the first couple, but we want around 17 basically is the current price. $10,000 will be going to those people, and we want those guys to have it done by January 2nd. But of course, if other people have ideas after that, they're welcome to submit them as well. But this was just because we need the information as soon as possible. Like you said, Lido are going to offer ETH only mini pools, basically, like in that, using our language, for ETH bond, with 7.5% commission coming from the remaining 28 ETH. So that makes it 60% more profitable than just solo
Solo.
stake. Yeah. So, like current Rocket Pool numbers are around 40% more rewards than solo staking, which, we're really proud of. But then you need RPL on top of that, and that becomes a thing that people don't want. And, there's all of these different factors that come into it. And now we're trying to basically balance the rETH holders, node operators, and the value of RPL. So those are some of the key things that are coming into this research. Like, how do you maintain those dynamics as much as possible while also trying to juice and tweak things in the best way? So that's why we stand.
Right.
And like you said, people have already started submitting their ideas, like Samus right here. So yeah,
So thousands of dollars potentially on the line if
ten
you're
thousand
out there and
dollars.
you got an idea. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
10,000.
And we didn't ask for much. Like, this is just like a early stage idea. So, a couple of paragraphs to a few pages, like nothing, you don't have to get too deep into the stuff. You can just have high level ideas and kind of throw it out there and see what sticks.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing I should mention too is there's an emphasis on how do we reward RPL holders too. We're talking about so much about how do we attract those who just want to avoid RPL and do ETH only mini pools. But
Mm-hmm.
the other side of it is we want to make RPL valuable, and how do
Mm-hmm.
we reward those who want to be RPL stakers too? And this can really
Absolutely.
juice those rewards too for those who are saying, "Hey, I like RPL. I want to, or maybe I'm a node operator who already has RPL stake. How do I benefit from this?" And so these ideas are to juice those folks as well. So we're trying to get both sides: the node
Yeah.
operators who want to do ETH only, and then node operators who have RPL staked. And we want to make it great for both.
And we also want to make it great for our ETH holders by
That's right.
potentially reducing the commission. So, that we like, people are scared because they just heard that, we don't want new tokenomics, and they hear that, the headline might be ETH only mini pools, and they think, oh, what's that going to do to RPL, right? But as soon as
Right.
you, like, engage with the ideas and like come into the thread and kind of like talk, you understand right away that, we all have RPL bags, and we are not going to, we want to, preserve the value of that as much as we can, or maybe like tweak the value or change it in a slight way if it
Right.
needs to be. But this is the stage now where, everyone's kind of making their case, everyone's putting their ideas forward. So if you want to preserve the value of RPL as much as possible, come in right now, present your case, get $250 for it, and maybe, your ideas will be the ones that go forward in the long term and will form the foundation of the new tokenomics.
Right. Okay. Well, let's get into a few of the proposals we got so far. This first one's by Samus. Apologize if I said that wrong. The summary is that the idea is to introduce ETH only mini pools where a portion of their rewards, their ETH rewards, are diverted to RPL staked mini pools. So, as a simple example, start off by offering new node operators the same product as Lido's CSM, which their CSM will be a 4 ETH bond. So you'll put up 4 ETH. You get 7.5% commission on the other 28 ETH because you need 28 plus 4 equals 32. For an rETH holder, the commission could remain at 14%, leaving 6.5% on the 28 ETH per mini pool to be diverted to RPL staked mini pools. So this kind of talks about or addresses what we were just talking about, like how do we benefit everybody, right? So Sam seems to have done that here in his proposal, and now NeverAnIsland, they extracted posted this for Samus, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just read the summary again. So the summary is that ETH only mini pools where a proportion of their rewards are diverted to RPL staked mini pools. Or actually, this is exactly what you just said. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
this leaves the commission at 14%. So nothing changes for our ETH. It benefits those who want ETH only mini pools, and because RPL staked mini pools will get some of the ETH only mini pools rewards, they'll benefit as well. And
Hmm.
it goes into some details here, variables, balancing mechanisms, fixed variables, dynamic variables, potential drawbacks. Do you have any feedback on this one?
Yeah, I think this is one of the first ideas that kind of came up in the discussions about, I think Jasper talked about this idea quite a lot, and Val talked about this idea about getting RPL stakers ETH rewards, basically, like instead of getting RPL rewards. So another benefit this would have would be potentially reducing inflation for RPL, because node operators wouldn't be getting RPL inflation, they'd just be getting ETH rewards. But then the question comes down to, like, how does that get balanced out? How do you balance the variables between, will the RPL stakers be earning enough? Will there be a huge demand for no RPL, the ETH only stakers? And if that's the case, how will that impact people who do stake RPL? Because will they have a bigger pie from which to take the rewards? So, there'll be an equilibrium forming where people will be getting staking RPL, getting ETH rewards. If there's too many people in one bucket, then others get outsized rewards and such on, so on. So, there's a lot of questions. Of course, that's why we're asking for this information. But this was one of the ideas that has been coming forward. And if we maintain some inflation for node operators, then they'll get even more rewards, because they'll get their own stake rewards from their own validators, but then they'll also get RPL rewards from their own validators, and they'll also get more ETH from the people who don't want RPL. So it's possible, that could be one way to go forward. But there's loads of different ideas that we can use right now.
Sure. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
a nice detailed proposal
Hmm.
by Samus. All right, the next one, I think this is NeverAnIsland
Hmm.
proposal. So their summary is current tokenomics require node operators to supply RPL to run mini pools, and it's known to be a blocker for risk-averse players, thus hindering rocket pool growth. Here I explore one possible way to enrich node operators' UX by allowing an option to create mini pools without the need to invest into RPL token. It is based on a built-in RPL pool that lends RPL to such mini pools, captures a portion of inflation and a part of their commission. So this creates. So the if I have this right in general, if you want to do an ETH only, you got to still have RPL, but you'll go in. There's an RPL vault that those who have RPL can contribute to and earn yield on, and somehow they'll borrow it so they can post their node, set up their node. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting ideas that have come up around this one and the discussion around it, and I think there's potential for it to get refined and grow, and like kind of get more information added to it. One of the things that's kind of come out is like the uh, agent principal problem, which is, if you are borrowing the RPL and you're going to give it back, then you don't really have anything to lose from that. I think, and I'm sure that people will address those issues and how they'll work. But the idea on the surface sounds interesting, and we'll see what kind of discussion comes up, and how we develop with this. But Never an Island is providing some good information in the discussions, and they're a good contributor to this whole process.
Right. Yeah, it's quite detailed, and these will
Hmm.
all be posted in the YouTube comments.
Yeah.
So there's Valdorff commented here, was wondering, at the rocket pool's maturity, imagine are all RPL staked, RPL inflation's 5%, will this break it? And it turns out that it's not broken. It just renders the pool obsolete in his vision of maturity. So, and then Valdorf says, got it. So it assumes the staked RPL percentage is always less than the percentage inflation. So this kind of goes into, I don't want to get into all the weeds, but really good feedback, really smart proposals so far. And then speaking of Valdorf, he has two that
Hmm.
ideas he like to be considered. One is borrowing. So focus, there's this general idea of borrowing RPL if you don't want to own it yourself. And he submits a proposal with using Myso finance. So he says the core of this idea is to use loans for folks that don't want RPL exposure. The loans are long term and not subject to liquidation, which is nice. To soft force staking the borrowed RPL, we use a quote bad fee with the promise of reimbursement to a good fee level if used in the desired way. The core benefit of this idea is that it needs zero smart contract changes in the protocol. So that's one major advantage, is that, hey, this thing could be done right away, or relatively quickly, I should say, without having to, change the smart contracts and go through audits and all that stuff. His second proposal is it's called rent or stake. The core of this idea is that folks can run mini pools either by staking RPL or by paying a one-time upfront fee to RPL stakers to run the node for 2 years. Because the fee goes to stakers, more renting makes staking more attractive, so we get some auto balancing. All right. Again, this is benefiting both those who want to run ETH only mini pools and those who have RPL stake mini pools. So why don't we start with the Myso loans idea? Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I covered this in Rocket Fuel yesterday, actually, because Val set up a new thread to kind of get people to start using the Myso finance service. And Etienne from their protocol came into the thread as well and gave some ideas. So the way it works is, I go to Myso Finance and I set up like an offer for a loan. So I'll say I have RPL, I have 1,000 RPL, and these are the terms that I want to lend it out. And then any node operator who or anyone can come and say, "Hey, I would like to borrow it at this price, like the price that you've offered. So I will give you my collateral, and I will take your RPL." And then that person will go and stake that RPL on their node. And at the end of the time period, that's all agreed on there. On what so the way it works is like you can choose your time, you can choose your loan to value ratio, you can choose the amount of rewards that's going to be paid. All of that can be customizable, and then once you kind of enter that permissionless agreement, you can then take that to your node and start staking it without any exposure to RPL. And depending on what the loan to value ratio is, then that will change, how the volatility in there gets accounted for and stuff. So that's a really interesting idea. And there's a couple of people who are already interested in using it to lend and borrow RPL. So there might be some test cases coming in the coming weeks, which will be really interesting to see how that works out. And then the rent or stake option is interesting as well, because it changes when the payments happen and how it works, which I think can be really interesting to see. So that's definitely an idea that I think I want to see a little bit more information about to try to like fully get my head around it. But Val, he's got links to the more information by clicking on the name of the idea, and you can, here you go. So
This is
there's
GitHub.
more. Yeah, there ain't no stake yet. So here you can dig into here and you can get more ideas and like more details on what exactly is that Val is proposing and how it looks. And then it might be interesting. One of the things that's really interesting here is like the Myso Finance one kind of becomes a version of a marriage of sorts. Like it's a different kind of marriage, which is interesting in itself. Also, it means that you could be the person staking the ETH. With NodeSet, it would be that you deposit your ETH into there and they give it to someone else to stake. So you're not staking it yourself. Whereas with this version, you're getting those outsized ETH returns yourself while paying the RPL rewards earlier in the process. So there's definitely some really interesting stuff here. And like we said a few minutes ago, everyone that we've talked about so far is maintaining a value for RPL in this, right? Like there's RPL isn't going away necessarily. Like it might be changing slightly, it might be changing form a little bit, but it's still going to be there. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So one thing that I was thinking of as I'm not a real technical person, and when I hear taking out loans for, go to trying to use Myso first before I stake, it seems like that might be tailored to a more sophisticated node operator, right?
Mhm.
Whereas paying rent is a little more straight up front. Okay, you want to stake, it's going to be zero point zero 0.05 ETH up front. You pay that to get your node started. And to me, that's like more straightforward. And that rental fee then goes to the RPL stakers. I think that's kind of how the CSM works with Lido. I believe like you're going to have ST ETH that you're going to put forward. Okay, you want to stake with us? You're going to put up some ST ETH, and then you're done. So I think perhaps it's possible we can have maybe both. We can have if you want to borrow, you're a little more comfortable with using a lending protocol, you can do that. Or if you just, hey, how much is kind of like you walk into BJ's or one of the Costco where you have to have a membership. How much does it cost for me to shop at the store? Oh, it's the membership fee is this, so it's 0.05 ETH. Okay, I'm in. Now I get in the door and I'm good. So perhaps that's one thing to think about because I, as someone who's not technically savvy, I kind of like to think I'd like it to be as simple as possible, and but not to say that we can't have something more complex that fits folks who want more of a marriage.
Yeah, I
I mean,
think that I'm expecting some good ideas to come through in the next 2 weeks. We also have people who are going to be, I'm sure, presenting ideas about sublinear bonding as well. Where like your first validator is 8 ETH and then 4 ETH and then 2 ETH, etc. Like, as you add more validators, you get more and more ETH that you can borrow. And then how those dynamics work with the RPL collateral with those and where the level of profitability is going to be really interesting to see as well. So there's some really fun stuff coming up, and I'm really excited to see what it's going to end up looking like.
yep. And I think it was this Samus who posted this. Yeah,
No,
Samus
yeah.
did a nice. He posted a nice table here that I'll have in the YouTube comments for you to look on. But pretty much at this point, consolidated the proposals with between no RPL bonded mini pools, RPL pools, MISO loans, rent or stakes, in the proposal along the top axis, and then on the y-axis we've got new RPL utility, new revenue streams, ETH only mini pools, who sets ETH only mini pools APR, voter set changes, and protocol smart changes. So this is really nice. Consolidates everything. If you're looking at what's the TLDR so far on these proposals, with regard to certain metrics, this is what we got so far. So I thanks Samus for putting this together, and we've got till January 2nd to get some more ideas. Does that bounty also include the linear, what we were just talking about, going from
Yeah.
8, 4, 2 as well?
So there's four categories that it covers, and those are value proposition for RPL. There's dynamics changing for node and node operators, RPL holders, and rETH holders. And then there's also MEV information that bounties will cover as well, because that's going to be a big aspect of what we can and can't do with validator, what kind of validators we can offer to people. Like, when can they get that 4 ETH validator? Like, can it be the first one? Does it have to be the second one? When will they get that 2 ETH validator? Does it have to be the third or fourth or fifth or 10th or 100th? Like, how does it work, right? So those MEV numbers are already being crunched in the thread as well. Like, if you scroll up to yesterday, Val and others were sharing information about like MEV theft and when the median and the mean kind of like converge and how that looks. So there was some really good information about that as well. So there's really good information. Get involved in the discussion. If you're watching this, please at least read it. If not, contribute. And even you, Pat, like what you were just describing, you could write a couple of paragraphs
Yeah.
about that and throw it in there, right? Like, and why not? So There's $250 as long as it's in good faith, and it shows that
Yeah.
you made a bit of an effort. There's money to be had here, and potentially $2,500. So, and maybe even more going forward. So it's really great that the whole community is kind of coming together and contributing to this. And I'm really hopeful that in the next 2 to 3 months we'll have a really good idea of what Rocket Pool's tokenomics are going to look like with the Saturn upgrade, because it looks like all of that's going to be bundled in together. So
Yep.
this is what I'm saying. Like, when those new tokenomics are unveiled, probably somewhere in quarter 2, most likely. End of quarter 1, maybe quarter 2 at some point, most likely. That's going to be really exciting because it's going to get people interested in Rocket Pool again in a way again that there might not be right now. And it just shows that we're not stagnating, we're not resting on our laurels, we're actually really pushing the envelope and developing in the best way, and we're growing, right? And like we're stepping up our evolution, and the Rocket Pool version 2 or version 3, I guess, whatever it's going to be by then, is going to be wonderful for node operators, it's going to be wonderful for RPL holders, and it's going to be wonderful for our rETH holders as well. So I
Yeah.
think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and for next week's episode, we're thinking of doing an end of year. So we'll go over the highlights and accomplishments for Rocket Pool for 2023, and what do we have to look forward to for 2024? Because I think there's a lot to look forward to. It's going to be really exciting for Rocket Pool. So
Absolutely.
stay tuned next week for that. This concludes this week's episode. Thanks for listening and watching. We appreciate it. Click the like and subscribe. Of course, not as financial advice. And we hope to see you next week and into the new year. Well, take care,
Yeah.
Whack.
Happy holidays, everyone.